With Ryan's arrival, Amelia's past and present collide violently. How will she deal with Ryan's aggression, while protecting her relationship with Luke? And as an alpha, how will Luke confront Ryan's provocation and defend his leadership and their love? Join our pack. Subscribe to start your adventure. Chapter 19. You stop right there, you. Amelia, or whatever your name is. Stop right there, are you fucking deaf? Adam's baby sister. Rachel decided to be an annoying bitch. For the last 6 hours she has been trying to talk to me, but I do not have interest in having a conversation with her. There are only 2 reasons for her disturbance. It was either for her aunt or for Luke. And I have no interest in discussing those 2 topics with her. Are you deaf or something? I've been trying to talk to you but you keep avoiding me, Rachel screeched. Before I could avoid her, she grabbed my arm and pulled me back. What do you think you're doing? I growled. Let go of me, I want you gone, you ungrateful bitch. You're such a slut. You just got here but you've managed seduced our alpha. You're nothing but a filthy rogue. I listened as the spoilt brat continued ranting. Always opening your stupid legs, yet when my aunt tries to talk to you, you ignore her. She saved your fucking life. She was the one who put my life in danger in first place. I snapped at her face, pulling my hand free. Bullshit. What was the stupid woman doing outside pack territory when she knew the activities of ferals keep increasing? I looked at her with annoyed eyes. By now, different people were already starting to gather and listen to our conversation. I didn't care. Since this brat wanted to scream, I was going to let her scream. She wasn't in her right mind, oh, so she mental issues? I asked sarcastically. She just lost her fucking mate. Of course she wasn't herself, she tried defending. Do you really think Elena was just going for a walk that day? No. It was very obvious she was there to kill herself, but before she could, she was attacked. The fact that the woman was selfish enough to lie about her reason for leaving her pack was so disgusting. That's just bullshit. Bullshit. If she wasn't going to kill herself, why would she be insane enough to take a walk out of her pack territory? It's because she didn't want anyone to find her before she finished herself off. You wouldn't even understand, since the moon goddess wouldn't want to pair a shameless person like you. What did you just say? My wolf was already getting agitated. The topic of mates was a touchy subject for my wolf. She was only comfortable with it when we're talking with Luke. You don't deserve a mate, same way you don't deserve Luke. You're a mateless piece of shit. You have no idea what I've been through, so you better keep your mouth shut. You have no idea how much the pain of rejection hurts. I heard multiple gasps. Rejection was always frowned upon in our society. I bet he rejected you because you were nothing but a slut. At this, my wolf took over and punched her straight in the face. The idiot rejected us because he wanted a warrior, not a pack doctor. Do you know the funniest thing? We were born with warrior blood but refused to train when our parents died. He rejected us and banished us just because he was fucking alpha. My wolf grabbed her by the neck, lifting her up. Do you know the pain we went through? The death of your mate is better than when your mate rejects you and flaunts another in front of you. By now my wolf was fully crushing her windpipe. My wolf wanted her dead since already. She had already pushed me into the deepest part of my mind. I couldn't stop her now, I could only watch as a spectator. Amelia! Let her go, I heard Adam shout. I turned my head towards him to see him appeaching with Luke and Caleb. I'm going to kill her since she thinks rubbing salt all over our wounds is a good idea. My wolf growled, extending her claws slightly. The smell of blood starts filling the air, but my wolf doesn't stop. Amy, please let her go, Luke whispered, wrapping his arms around me. She heard us, my wolf whined. It's okay. I'll handle everything. Just let go. Calm down, princess. Please, Adam will be heartbroken if you kill her. You're okay. I'm here. My wolf finally let go, but I'm pulled into a world of darkness. Luke. When we were mind-linked about the situation, we didn't know it was this bad. The report only stated Amelia and Rachel got into a fight. I never expected Amelia to have already gone full wolf, and close to ripping Rachel heads off. Rachel always trained with the pack warriors, so I expected she was the one who would beat Amelia. But Amelia's warrior blood plus rage was definitely something. Rachel was still on the ground from when Amelia dropped her. I waited for her to start breathing properly before questioning her. What happened? I asked Rachel, holding an unconscious Amelia in my arms. I tried talking to her nicely about my Aunt Elena, but she just went full wolf crazy on me. The lie practically poured out of her mouth. You're lying, Adam said, pulling her up from her place on the floor. Amelia wouldn't just attack you, Caleb added. Rachel, I can hear the lie. What did you say to her to bring out her wolf? Rachel remained mute, looking away. Talk, Adam growled. I didn't do anything, she whined. Okay, since you won't talk, I'll deal with you later. Who can tell me what happened? A few hands shot up and I called on Timothy, one of the newly trained pack warriors. It was Rachel who started it. She accused Amelia of being a your slut, saying she seduced you. She also called her horrible names because Amelia refused to talk to her aunt. And then she told Amelia she didn't deserve a mate, so she couldn't understand her aunt's pain. Amelia then told her about her rejection, only for Rachel to say it was her fault. That was when Amelia's wolf came out. Thank you, Timothy. You may all leave now. The pack members who had gathered began to go into different directions. I knew they were still trying to hear what was going on with their werewolf hearing. I'll handle you later. I don't even turn towards Rachel. I walked to the pack house, directly ignoring Caleb's and Adam's calls. I knew Rachel never liked Amelia especially when we started going out, but I didn't think she was capable of saying the things she said. Rachel could be a very big bitch, but she always had her limits. Mocking Amelia because of a rejection, saying she seduced me, and calling her a slut was just too much. I didn't know how I was going to handle this. On one hand I had my wonderful Amelia, and on the other hand I had my beta's sister. Chapter 20. Adam's POV. What is wrong with you? I growled at Rachel. I couldn't believe my sister could be so stupid. Amelia had told only a few people about what happened with her true mate, but now everyone in the pack knew about it. Why are you all protecting her? She's just an ungrateful bitch. The most disappointing thing was the fact that she was not feeling any form of remorse. Shut up, Caleb yelled at her. You need to get it into your thick skull that Luke will never take you as a mate, especially if you keep being like this. Ouch. I knew my sister loved Luke, but I was hoping she would find her mate soon. Luke was never going to look her way. That was because that slut seduced him. Rachel, what is wrong with you? Don't you know you have your own mate? They've both already lost theirs, and that's why they're together. Or are you going to reject your mate? I don't have a mate, she smugly replied. Why will you say that? I just know I was confused because that was totally unexpected. She killed him. That's why. Caleb looked at her with the usual disgust he has whenever he sees her. What? Shut up, Rachel and I say at the same time. Caleb, what did you just say? Caleb, shut up. Rachel, I saw you that day. I don't know what you're talking about. Caleb, go to the point, I urged him, ignoring Rachel. One day while I was on patrol I saw her kill her own mate. He's lying, Adam. He's lying. I would never do that. Rachel looked so flustered, looking at me with begging eyes. Shut up. Let him talk, I yelled, allowing my beta command slip. I was on patrol that evening when I caught whiff of two scents. One was familiar while the other one was a rogue. I approached the scents but was careful not to alert them. I heard their conversation. At that time they had just met, but Rachel lied to him, saying her brother would kill him if he finds out he was a rogue. After a while another rogue approached them and introduced himself as her mate's brother. She acted so innocent and told them she was going to tell her brother and would be back for them. They told her they were going to leave first but return the next day. Just as they turned to leave, she struck out with her claws and slashed their necks. They both didn't expect it, and since she was one's mate, they totally let their guard down, and that was how she managed to overpower them. I watched them bleed to death, too shocked to approach. I know I should have ran out to stop her, but I remained frozen. I have been dying of guilt ever since. Rachel was so wicked. She walked away, leaving their bodies. I felt pity as well as guilt for allowing Rachel harm them. But even if I rushed out, I wouldn't have been able to help them because she was fast and swift when slashing their neck with her claws. I couldn't leave them, so buried them. I just didn't know how to tell you or Luke, Caleb narrated as Rachel remained mute from my beta command. That's why your attitude towards her changed, I stated. I knew you loved her rotten, so I couldn't bring myself to tell you. I'm so sorry. It's okay, Caleb. Go to the pack house and wait for me. We need to talk to Luke. What about her? He indicated towards Rachel. I'm taking her to the dungeon for now. She deserves to be punished for killing an innocent rogue. She could have just rejected him rather than kill him and his brother. I walked away, dragging the still mute Rachel with me. She tried struggling, but I held her tightly. Luke, we have a serious problem. I mind-linked Luke as I walked towards the pack house after locking Rachel up. What happened? It's about Rachel, but we need to tell you immediately. I've already locked her up, okay? I'm at the Alpha floor. I'll be waiting. I get to the pack house to see Caleb waiting for me by the staircase. Getting to the Alpha floor, we found Amelia awake, sitting on one of the couches with Luke beside her. I'm so sorry, Adam. Amelia got up apologizing. It's okay, Amelia. She deserved it, Luke grumbled, pulling her down to sit beside him. But, she started to say again. Luke's right. She deserved it. It's okay, I promise. I smiled at her, taking a seat myself. So what's up? What did Rachel do? Luke finally asked. She killed and mate and his brother because they were rogues. What? Luke and Amelia exclaimed at the same time. Caleb told them just exactly what he told me. Amelia's mouth was open in shock while Luke's face was frozen in disbelief. Caleb. Amelia called out to him. I could see her fingers were tightly clenched as they laid on her laps. Yeah, you said the two rogues were brothers. Yeah, that's what I heard from their conversation. There was a nervous look on Amelia's face. I hope it doesn't turn out to be what I'm thinking. I hope she doesn't have any connection with those rogues. Can you please describe them? I knew two rogues who disappeared. I just want to be sure it wasn't them. Caleb went silent, but it was obvious the wheels in his head were turning, and he was trying to remember. They both had really long black hair. They were both tall. Rachel's mate was about 6 feet 1 inch while the other was shorter by a small margin. Also, they were lean but still a bit muscular. For being rogues, they both looked okay. If Rachel hadn't murdered them, I believe they would have been good friends to us all. Did you hear their names by any chance? Amelia asked with a shaky voice. I heard her call her mate Ben while the brother introduced himself as Tom. I'm going to kill that bitch. Amelia got up from her seat and began to pace. Amelia, what's wrong? What happened? Luke asked as he tried to pull her to sit. Amelia pulled herself away from his grasps, wrapping her arms around herself. Did you know them? He asked her. When I was living as a rogue, there were two brothers who took me in. They had gone scouting for a new place for us to live but never came back. They left me behind, saying it was better for me stay in case there was danger ahead. They promised me one of them would return for me once they found a place. They never came back. Her tears turned into full-blown sobs. Luke got up, took her in his arms and carried her into the bedroom. I turned my head and connected eyes with Caleb. I am certain she will attempt to kill Rachel if they ever come across each other again. Caleb mind-linked me. Rachel needs to leave, I replied. Rachel has been such a bad girl. Chapter 21. Amelia's POV. Once again, I sat in the midst of people as the workers ran around making sure the arrangements were perfect. Tonight's bonfire was my second bonfire since I joined the pack. New rogues were going to be introduced and some punishments were to be announced. Rachel's issue would also be announced to the whole pack today. In any other pack, killing a rogue was no issue, but here, attacking and killing rogues unjustly AMD for no reason was frowned upon and punishable. The rules stated that you were only allowed to attack and kill rogues if they attack you first. And whenever you were attacked by a rogue, it was important to send out a mind link and a mental image of your current situation. It was to serve as a proof of your reason for attack, and so the pack patrol could help you. In Rachel's case, she had quietly killed two rogues without a report. Not just that, she killed her own mate without any remorse. Even when she had been interrogated by Luke, she had laughed after saying she would rather die than be mated to a pathetic rogue. That had left her with some pretty nasty bruises since I was granted permission to be in the interrogation room with Luke and Adam. Her punishment had not been decided since Luke was waiting for the elders to choose a suitable one. The case had been kept silent and only important people knew about it. But today Luke was going to announce it so everyone could know. Caleb was also going to be punished for keeping it a secret, but his punishment would be light according to what Adam said. Hey Amelia, Kate's voice pulled me out of my thoughts. Kate, I stood up and gave her a hug. Are you okay? I just heard what happened with Rachel. I'm fine, Kate. I'm okay. Why didn't you tell me? Okay, I understand. Talking about something that heartbreaking is close to impossible. With that, I gave her a nod. But it has been 3 whole days and you couldn't even tell me about your fight with Rachel. You know I'm always stuck with my baby and I don't pay attention to gossip. I only heard about today from my mate. I'm sorry. I was stuck in my head. I heard you almost killed her. How did you do that? She looked so pleased with me. Kate, we both turned our heads towards her mate. He was trying to calm a crying Matthew, but it wasn't working out. Okay then. I'll see you later, Amy. I'm still mad at you though. She patted me on shoulder before walking off. I sat back on my seat with my thoughts scattered everywhere. The news about what happened with Rachel had gone round already. Almost everyone knew about my rejection and the fact that I was now with Luke. No one mentioned it to me though. After all, being rejection was a sad ordeal. The bonfire soon began, but I wasn't really paying attention. I was stuck in my thoughts of how things would have been if Rachel hadn't killed Ben and Tom. I would have met Luke earlier and I wouldn't have gone to that horrible pack. So many heartaches would have been avoided. But Rachel hated rogues and wanted Luke. I also have to inform you of bad news which involves Rachel from the Beta family finally. 3 days ago she started a fight with a fellow pack member which led to her almost dying. Luckily, I arrived there early to prevent it. The murmurs began, but just a glare from Luke made them all silent. Unfortunately, we also found a piece of information about Rachel and her mate. Luke paused for a while and looked to the side. My eyes followed his line of sight to see he was looking directly at her parents. Rachel found her mate some time ago, but he was a rogue, so she ended his life as well as his brother's. An uncomfortable silence spread through the field. Her mother burst into tears. That's a lie. Rachel wouldn't do that, Gabriel. Her father shouted, believing his daughter was an angel. Gabriel and his wife, Cindy, were the ones responsible for Rachel's spoilt behavior. They were also the ones who put it into her head that she was going to be Luke's mate. Luke had told me stories from his childhood, and these stories involved how the Beta family put thoughts into Rachel's head. No matter how his parents tried stopping them, they would laugh and say they were joking. But there clearly weren't, and now Rachel was what she was. You're just lying and trying to punish her because of that girl, aren't you, Cindy? Her mother screamed in the midst of her tears. Some of the pack members sitting around me turned to look at me. I knew some were swayed by the words she uttered. I looked towards Luke and the anger on his face was visible. Is that how you see me? Luke growled at them. My baby has always loved you. My baby is an angel and doesn't have the bone in her to kill anyone. You. Mother, stop it, Adam roared. Your daughter isn't an angel. I already confirmed what she did. There was even a witness who refused to say it because he didn't want to hurt us. Rachel already knows we know as well, so stop talking. She already confessed I am your alpha. As your alpha, I am bound to the well-being of my pack, and for you to make a suggestion like this, it means you do not see me as your alpha. It is a blatant disrespect to me. You both will only be freed from your punishment because at a point you were the Beta couple who helped my parents. Luke's voice was dripping in coldness as his eyes flashed. The pressure was suffocating not just the ex-Beta couple but everyone as well. But this is the last time. If you dare to do this again, I will take no pity when I personally punish you. They took in a breath and the pressure was greatly reduced. You may leave now. My wolf is very angry, and I do not want to hurt anyone. Adam's father got up with his head bowed. Yes, Alpha. He looked towards his mate who was still crying and turned to bow again. I am sorry for my mate's and I's disrespect. He pulled the crying Cindy up and left with her. At the moment, Rachel is currently locked up, and the elders are already thinking of a befitting punishment for her. Luke took in another deep breath, and the lingering pressure was lifted. You all can enjoy the rest of your night. Luke walked down from the makeshift stage and goes towards the direction of the pack house. It was obvious he was annoyed from Cindy's behavior. How could she even be stupid enough to question him like that? I stood up and walked towards him. Luke, he turned his head towards me and I just felt pity at the lost look on his face. Let's go for a run. He didn't say anything and just shifted into his werewolf, ripping his clothes into pieces. He pressed his head against my stomach and whined. Get on, he mind-linked him. I immediately got on back and Luke dashed towards the woods. I gripped Luke's hair so tightly since he was going fast. I had fun riding on Luke's back, but soon we went back to the pack house. Everyone else was still at the bonfire, so the place was basically empty. I got down from Luke's back, allowing him to pick up a pair of shorts from the basket outside with his mouth before he ran off to change. Luke came back soon after and we both went up to his floor. I felt tension rolling off of Luke in waves and I just wanted to help. Luke immediately pinned me against the door when we go inside, to my surprise. What? The intent look of lust that I saw in Luke's eyes caused a shiver to run through me. I want you so bad, Amy, Luke said breathlessly before he rested his head on my shoulder. His hands around my waist tightened almost painfully, but I didn't mind. Luke began laying light kisses by the side of my neck and up my ear. I put my hands on my shoulder to stabilize myself, tilting my head to give him more access. Luke, I moaned. Luke raised his head from my neck. His eyes connected with my eyes before they quickly darted to my lips. I couldn't wait anymore, so I snaked my hand to the back of his head and pulled him towards me. Luke's hands went down to my thighs before he lifted me up, causing me to wrap my legs around his waist. Luke turned and headed towards his bedroom. He opened the door and went inside, locking the door, all the while holding me up against him. He placed me on the bed and I gasped when his lips moved down and found that certain spot below my jaw. He continued making a trail along my neck with kisses and gentle bites. Suddenly Luke paused. I raised his head and from his foggy eyes I knew he was in the middle of a mind link. "Fuck," Luke growled, rolling off me. "What happened?" "Rachel's gone." "She's gone?" "Yeah, the guard who was supposed to be watching her was found unconscious." "I have go." "I'm so sorry." Luke got up, placing a kiss on my forehead before he left. Such bad timing, I thought, rolling my eyes. A part was me was relieved while the other part was dissatisfied at the interruption. Was I even ready to go further with Luke? I had no idea, but if we had continued what we were doing I would not have stopped him. Chapter 22, Luke's POV. After Rachel disappeared, there was a bit of tension in the pack, especially since no one knew how she escaped. The guard himself didn't know what happened. He had suffered quite a hard blow to his head. It would have been easier if we could detect a smell, but the problem was the person cleverly covered his or her smell. Adam was the first to suspect his parents. He believed their parents would not just sit back and allow their spoilt baby girl to be punished. Gabriel and Cindy were taken for interrogation, but they both firmly denied. Adam's relationship with his parents became tensed after the interrogation. To make matters worse, Ryan was coming today and I knew things wouldn't be so easy for Amelia. She assured me she had already moved on, but I was still scared. They were both true mates after all. What if when they see each other after so long they both get pulled into one another again? "Amelia, are you sure you're okay with this?" I asked, looking at Amelia worriedly. "I'm fine. You're here with me," she said, smiling up at me. "What if he decides to leave Beth for you? You're both true mates, Luke. I don't care what Ryan thinks. I have absolutely no feelings for him anymore. He sent me away when I needed someone, and now that I have someone he has no right to ask for me. I won't go back to him even if I'm at death's door." She squeezed my hands as a form of confirmation. I put my arm around her and let her lean on my body while we waited for Ryan and his family to arrive. My parents were here as well, and I knew they definitely heard our conversation. My parents were happy Amelia and I found each other. They even treated her like their own daughter while I'm pushed away. A black Range Rover soon pulled up and parks in front of us. Ryan was the first to step of the car before his parents stepped down. Desmond was asleep in Ryan's arms. I couldn't see Beth though. Something must be wrong. They stepped towards us and the moment they spot Amelia they all froze. I acted nonchalantly as if I didn't know what was wrong. "Amelia," Ryan said in shock. "Alpha." Ryan. Amelia replied curtly. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "We should probably go inside." My mother stepped in. I walked towards the stairs leading them to the guest suite they normally resided whenever they visited. "Are you okay?" I mind-linked Amelia. "Perfect. I told you I don't feel anything for him anymore." "Good. I'm surprised Beth isn't here." "Yeah, me too. I wonder what happened. Maybe they had a serious fight." My conversation with Amelia was cut short when we arrived at our destination. We all shuffled into the room and sat down while Amelia went towards the kitchen. When she came back, she distributed cold drink to everyone. "So Ryan, where's Beth?" I asked, pulling Amelia to sit beside me. "She left. His mum says when Ryan kept his mouth shut." "She left?" I asked, confused. Ryan and Beth have always been all over each other the few times I saw her. I used to be jealous when I saw them together. I mean, Ryan even rejected his original mate for Beth, so the thought of Beth leaving Ryan and their son was a big surprise to me. "We weren't true mates," Ryan said after a while. Oh, I acted like I didn't know that piece information. "Yeah. She found her true mates 2 weeks ago, so she left with him." Ryan kept staring at Amelia while Amelia acted as though he was a block of wood. She intentionally leaned further into my chest. "That's surprising. I mean, you both love totally into each other. I didn't expect something like this even without you guys not being mates." "Yeah, I thought we could make it too, but she said she wanted something more. So she left her own son too." She said she didn't want anything to hinder her time with her mate. "So what are you going to do?" "Luke, I'm here. Can I talk to Amelia for a moment?" Amelia pressed herself more into me. And I understood maybe she didn't want to talk to him. Why do you want to talk to my mate? Your mate. She's my mate, I'm not yours, Amelia growled at him. Amelia, please, I'm sorry if he believed he could bounce out of nowhere and get Amelia back, then he was more insane than I originally thought. Just because Beth ran off with her true mate didn't mean he could just take back Amelia as if she was his property. Sorry. Were you sorry when you banished me? Please just. I don't care. To me you're nothing but my old alpha who banished me unjustly. Amelia stormed out right after that. I remained standing because Amelia was in need of some space, and it would not be so nice to crowd her at this moment. I'm honestly disappointed in you, Ryan. I shook my head at him. I made a big mistake, but now I know I was wrong. I want her back, you're too late. She's mine now, but Luke. Your son rejected and banished her. Do you guys have any idea what she's been through? And now you just barge in and act like you want her back. But now he needs her. Needs her for what? To help me with Desmond. I can't raise him on my own and I need a mate. So you just want her as a babysitter? Of course not. She would be there for me too. Well, we both already moved on with each other. She's not your mate. Your fucking mate is dead and buried. He stood up, pointing at me with his face full of rage. Yes, Lucy died and left a hole in my heart, but then I met an amazing woman like Amelia. She's already mine now, and there's nowhere in hell I'm going to let you separate us. She was yours, but you abandoned her. Luke, please, Ryan needs his mate. His mother tried pleading. Amelia is not going back with you. She and my son are together now. Ryan had his chance, but he left her for someone else. My mum said sternly. I never expected you both to allow him do something like that. And when Amelia decides to move, you all come barging in. Dad added. I really should go find Amelia now. I stepped outside only to come face to face with Amelia. She must have just stepped out to get some air. Or was she waiting for me? I was so stupid I didn't notice. She most likely heard everything too. Can we go somewhere, please? She asked with a small smile on her face. A smile that proved to me she was okay. Yeah, come on. Let's go. Chapter 23, Ryan's POV. Seeing Amelia in Black Shadow Pack was the greatest surprise I have ever gotten. With the departure of Beth, my life became unbalanced. Our relationship had been strained over 2 years now, and meeting her mate was the push she needed to leave. When I saw Amelia, I thought I had been imagining things. I thought I was being punished for what I did years ago. I have been assaulted by sudden flashes of her image for years. That was one of the reasons my relationship with Beth became strained. According to her, I had been calling out her name in my sleep, and sometimes instead of calling her Beth, I call her Amelia. I have no recollection of times like that. As if seeing her wasn't surprise enough, she had to give me another bigger surprise. How could she be together with Luke? Luke and I weren't best of friends, but the relationship between our fathers was enough for us to befriend each other. Amelia was never supposed to get together with him. It's just plain wrong. Yes, when Beth left, I had plans of finding someone to balance off the change she caused. I wanted someone to help take care of my son. Someone to fill in for all Beth was supposed to do. I admit, I still love my Beth even if she left me, but as an alpha I have to do what's best for my pack, so finding a replacement is necessary. Amelia would have been perfect. She is my true mate after all, and it is her duty to do what makes me happy. But then I had no idea where she was. I never tried to find her after I banished her. I regret it. I regret letting her leave. I should have kept her in my pack all those years. I should have given secret orders to have her imprisoned somewhere, under my watch. Then I wouldn't have to search for someone to fill in for Beth. Neither would I have to find her here with Luke. I know Luke has been alone for so long after the death of his mate, and he deserves someone new. But Amelia was off limits. She belongs with me with or without love. How did she even get here? Has she been here for long? No, I doubt it. I would have known. The sound of someone knocking pulled me out of my thoughts. Opening the door, I stare at my father, waiting for him to say what he wants. Son, he finally broke the silence. Dad, I said grumpily. I wasn't in the mood to have a conversation with anyone, but this was my father, so I couldn't close the door on him. Our relationship became rocky since I rejected and banished Amelia. We could never be found in the same place unless in the presence of Luke's family, or in the presence of our pack. The only thing my father and I felt for each other was tolerance. I want to have a word with you. He didn't even give me a chance to reject as he pushed me aside and walked in. He sat on the bed and patted the space beside him, indicating I should sit there, but I ignored him, choosing to stand instead. Do you regret rejecting Amelia? He asked. I do not. She wasn't what I wanted. I wanted a warrior like Beth, but you do know Amelia has warrior blood. She just wasn't one for violence, he said, shaking his head. It didn't matter if she had the blood or not. She was not good enough. Beth was not good enough. If she was, she wouldn't have left you. I don't care if she left me or not, I still love her. Then why do you want Amelia back if you don't love her? She belongs to me. She needs to come back and balance off what Beth left behind. Do you mean to tell me that the apology you gave her a few minutes ago meant nothing? Yes, Father. Giving an apology would have been the easiest way to get her, but unfortunately it didn't work how I expected. Did you expect her to just jump and accept you just because of an apology? Of course. That's what mate bonds and apologies are for. Ryan, my dad, had a disappointing look on his face. So you don't really want her back as a mate. You don't want her because you regret losing her. What was he saying? Why does he have to look at me with disappointing eyes? I'm doing what's best for the pack. The pack can function well without her. Are you really going to tear her and Luke apart? Yes, I am. Ryan, you can't do that. Why not? It's obvious your bond with Amelia is already shattered. That's why a mere apology can't sway her under the influence of the mate bond. A bond has already been formed between her and Luke. You just can't come and break them apart after you tossed her away in the first place. But she's my mate, I shouted at him. That you rejected. She has every right to move on, he shouted back. I'm going to get her back for what? You can survive without a mate. Why do you want to ruin someone else's happiness just for your selfishness? How can I survive without anyone to support me? Luke has been surviving without a mate. I forbid you from doing anything stupid. Jeffrey is my friend and I can't stand by while you try to ruin his son's happiness. You had her but you cast her away, so you have no right to interfere in her life. My father stood up and left, shutting the door with a loud bang. I can't believe even my own father is going to stand in my way too. Ever since the first time I rejected Amelia, I knew he was disappointed in me. And our relationship has been rocky. But as my father and an ex-alpha, he's supposed to understand why I need someone by my side, but then he says I can handle it all without anyone. Can I really survive without a Luna? I don't know how Luke did it, but I'm sure I can't do it. I don't care what they all think. I'm getting back what belongs to me. If no one is going to let me get what I want, I might as well force it. I tried doing it the easy way, and since that didn't work out, I was going to do it the forceful way. There's nothing wrong in marking her. As long as I mark her, a new bond will form and no one would be able to tear us apart anymore. She deserved this for disgracing me in front of my family and Luke's family. When I get her back, I'm going to give her the punishment she deserves. Chapter 24. Amelia's POV. Okay, Tracy, you're all fixed up, I said as I tied the last knot of her bandage. Little Tracy had fallen off a tree and sustained a big deep cut to her leg that needed stitches. The stitches would stay long, but it was needed to allow the injury heal properly. Thank you, Dr. Amelia. Tracy grinned at me, showing me the absence of her two front teeth. You're welcome, sweetie. Now just lie down and rest for a bit while I go call your mom. Okay, she scooted backwards and laid down. I walked out of the room and had a short discussion with her mom before heading towards my office. I looked at the clock on the wall in the hallway, and the time was already 4:47 p.m. Just 13 minutes to my closing time. Opening the door of my room, saying I was just shocked would be an understatement. What are you doing here? I said angrily. The idiot turned to me with pleading eyes, which increased my disgust and anger altogether. Amelia, I just want to talk. You must be out of your mind. How many times do I have to make it clear that I don't want you anymore? I know, but please, I need you. You must be out of your mind. I turned away from him and was approaching the door to my attached toilet when I was forcefully slammed against the wall. I didn't even have the strength to scream because I was totally disoriented. When I attempted to scream, he wrapped his hand around my neck and choked me. Since you won't come with me nicely, I think I will just have to make you. Luke, help me, I mind-linked. Amelia, what's wrong? I'm already close to the PAC hospital. I was already coming to see you. This bastard is trying to take advantage of me. Luke cut of the mind link immediately. Ryan pushed me hard against the wall without giving me any way to fight. He ripped my lab coat apart and got close so I could feel his breath against my ear. His hand was still around my neck, just a bit loosed. I tried to get you to come back and be a pretty little mate. I have pleaded with you enough, so now I'm taking matters into my own hands. He pulled his back from my neck and began to suck on my exposed neck, placing light kisses. I shivered in disgust. This bastard was trying to mark me. I regret not taking any self-defense classes. I really want to shout so that someone can hear or something, but I don't want this to escalate too much. I don't watch to create a spectacle for people to watch. Besides, Luke was already on his way. Ryan begins to grind his heart on against me, and I'm anything but turned out. How could he even get aroused in a situation like this? Rapists are just weird like that. Where the fuck was Luke? Just as Ryan is about to bite me, I hear the door burst open and Ryan is thrown off of me. Luke and Ryan enter into a round of fists, and people soon start rushing in to see from all the sounds they were making. Well, there goes my efforts of trying to keep this as quiet as possible. Maybe I should have just shouted in the first place. Please stop, I screamed at both of them. It's not like I care about Ryan, but I don't want Luke to get hurt. I mind-linked Caleb and Adam to get here immediately because Luke and Ryan didn't look like they were going to stop anytime soon. You guys need to stop, I screamed again. They were both bleeding badly already, and no one was brave enough to intervene. Who would want to step between two alphas fighting? I didn't think Caleb and Adam were going to get here soon enough, so the stupid me decided it was okay to intervene. I didn't know how, but miraculously I was able to pull Luke away from Ryan. But I wasn't fast enough to stop the blow that was originally meant for Luke. Ryan's punch hit me so hard on the temple I fell straight down. My head was ringing and I couldn't hear anything Luke was saying. My disoriented mind could still identify his worry, but black dots covered my sight soon enough, and I was drawn into unconsciousness. I open my eyes to a white ceiling and a quick sniff tells me I'm still at the Pack Hospital. I could also smell Luke, but he was absent at the moment. I turn to the side and see it's dark outside. I wonder how long I've been unconscious. My temple hurts like a bitch and I was sure I didn't look good. The moment I sat up, Luke came into the room. He rushed towards me and engulfed me in a hug. I'm so sorry, he said once he pulled away. His face is still slightly injured from his fight with Ryan. He's already gone. He tried apologizing, but I told him I wanted him gone. I couldn't let him stay. My wolf wanted to kill him for what he did to you. I made him swear an oath never to intervene in your life again. Luke reached his hand to touch my temple and I flinched when I felt pain from his touch. I'm sorry, he apologized with sad eyes. It's okay. This look bad, doesn't it? I asked. Yeah, it is. He punched you real hard. It has already gotten better. Thank God for quick healing. We fall into silence and just remained there stuck in our different thoughts. I could tell Luke still blamed himself, but I didn't think it was his fault. He wasn't the one who asked me to intervene in his fight, neither was he the one who punched me. All this was Ryan's fault. Amelia, Luke called softly. Yeah, I'm sorry you got injured because of me. I don't blame you. I shouldn't have gotten between a fight of two alphas in the first place. And if I hadn't gotten into a fight with Ryan, none of this would have happened. But, he placed his finger on my lips and shook his head. I should have just thrown him off and had a conversation, but my anger led me into a fight. I still don't blame you, I said, giving him a quick peck on the lips. Do your parents know about what happened? Amelia, everyone in the pack knows. Mum wanted to stay and watch over you, but I told her to go home without allowing her to come in. We fall into a comfortable silence until Luke breaks it. You should lie down. I'm fine, Luke. Are you sure? I'm sure, but I do feel hungry. Okay, just wait for me, I'll get you something to eat. Luke gives me a kiss on the forehead before turning to leave. Ryan was a bastard. Making him swear an oath was the best decision. Wolves were particular about oaths. The moment an oath was broken, the wolf could be killed no matter his or her status. Ryan was never going to bother me again. Ryan and I were done for good. Nothing could ever bring us together. I could finally be happy with Luke without any worries, without any restrictions. I could finally spend forever with Luke. Chapter 25, Elena's POV. Ever since the death of my mate, life was disastrous. I considered ending my life a couple of times, especially after I almost caused the death of the innocent girl, Amelia. I have never been able to get the image of how my soon nailed her against a pole. She looked horrible that day, all because of me. I knew Carl was just carrying out his anger on her because any normal werewolf would know that Amelia isn't a killer. Besides, if she really wanted to kill me, she wouldn't have taken me back to the pack when she knew she could be killed. But Carl was so disappointing, he decided to blame the young girl. As much as I would like to push blames, it is also partly my fault. If I wasn't so stupid, this wouldn't have. I couldn't even bring myself to tell my family the truth. I lied to them that I just wandered off when I obviously wanted to kill myself. More disappointing was the issue with Rachel. I couldn't believe she would really kill her own mate. Didn't she feel the emptiness? Didn't she even feel guilty? Now the entire family has been covered in unease since Adam suspects his parents are responsible for the disappearance. The sound of my phone ringing brings me back to reality. I was surprised Carl was calling me because since the last time I chased him away, he stopped disturbing. "Hello," I said. Mum. Carl's voice sounded so wrong, like something bad happened. "What's wrong, Carl?" I questioned, trying as hard as I could to sound angry. I was still angry at him for what he did, but he was also my son. Regardless of what he did, I still loved him. "Mum, please come back. I miss you," he said finally. "The girl you almost killed still won't forgive me, and until she does, I'm coming back." "Do you think she ever will?" "I'm not sure." Carl reply never came as he hung up. "I really hope Amelia forgives me. I don't think I could ever enjoy life if she still hates me as much as she does." Amelia's POV. Today was a free day for me, so Luke and I decided to spend the whole day together. In the morning, Luke went to the office to settle his work first while I prepared for our picnic. I found a very cute basket in one of the storerooms where I arranged our food and drinks. Just before Luke came back, I emptied a large tub of ice cream. Well, it's not my fault though. He made me wait for so long. When Luke finally came back, he took me to a beautiful lake located at the edge of the pack, and I was beyond mesmerized. The moment we got close, I took off my sundress and jumped into the water. We had lots of fun in our wolf form playing chase, and then we switched back to our human forms to swim again. I was the first to get tired and hungry. Thank God Luke had already set up the picnic mat the first time I jumped into the water. We were lucky no other animal was around, or we have been robbed us off our food while we played like kids. Towards the evening, we came back to the pack house and decided to relax outside on one of the many swings that could accommodate 2 people. Surprisingly, there was no one around. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one who secretly told everyone to stay away. "Amy, do you think our kids would be adorable?" Luke asked all of a sudden. I have always thought about how our kids would look. Even though I don't have a mental picture, I'm certain that with your amazing genes and mine, they'll be the most adorable kids that have ever been born to this pack. I beamed at him. Luke burst into laughter at my words and pressed a kiss against my cheek. "I can see you look very ready to have our pups," he whispered into my ear. Before I could reply, we were interrupted and I jumped, pushing Luke away. I guess we were so occupied we didn't notice anyone approaching us until she was right in front of us. Elena stood in front of us with a pitiful face. I wish this woman will just leave me alone. Doesn't she get the fact that I don't want to be around her? "Alpha, please, I would like to talk to Amelia," she said. "I guess I should go then." Luke tries to stand up. I reach to grab him and pull him back down. "You can please leave. I don't want to talk to you." I glare at her, hoping she would get the signal and just go away. "Babe, I know you're mad, but please, for my sake, for Adam's sake, just talk to her." Luke whispers in my ear. "You can talk to me in front of him." "It's okay," I say neutrally. "Amelia, I know no matter how much I explain you're never going to forgive me, but I just want to say I'm sorry." The next thing I know, she's on her knees and in tears. "If I wasn't for my selfishness to kill myself, none of this would have happened to you. Please forgive me. Please forgive my son." Thinking about it though, if it wasn't for her and her son, I wouldn't have come to this wonderful pack. I wouldn't have met Luke. Yes, her stupid decision as well as her son's stupid decisions almost cost me my life, but it also led me to a better life. I turn to look at Luke and he's looking at me already. He's practically begging me with his eyes to forgive her. I really do not want to, but I'm happy now and I think I need to let go. Besides, she needs to go back and straighten up her son. "Elena, you can stand up." I try to lift her up, but she shakes her head. No, I'm going to stay here until you forgive me." Trying to force me in front of my love and an alpha. I think I have. That isn't coming out right. "I have forgiven you. In fact, I never really hated you. I know it's not your fault for falling into a coma. I was just honestly disappointed at your decision. Why would you try to kill yourself? Don't you think staying alive to straighten out your son is a much better idea?" "I know. I regretted my decision the moment that feral attacked me." She looked up at me with one of the cutest doe eyes I have ever seen. Fuck, how does she make those eyes? I stood up from the swing and pulled her up. "I know your son made me wish for death more than 1,000 times. I know I swore never to forgive you, but if you look closely, I probably wouldn't have come here if I didn't suffer in his hands. How can you be sure of that? You could have stumbled her all by yourself, she tried to argue back. Nah, I don't think I would have. So let's wipe off the slate. I'm only forgiving you for the fact that without all those suffering I wouldn't have met Luke. I turned to see the stupid Alpha smiling like a kid who got candy. But even if I have forgiven you, I do not ever want to see your son or anyone related to that pack. I can tolerate seeing you, but no one else, I understand. Thank you, Amelia. Elena smiled through her tears. And lastly, you need to go home and sort out that pack before your son becomes a monster along with everyone else. No problem, I feel lighter. Like a burden has been lifted off my shoulders. Chapter 26. Amelia's POV. I sat on Luke's couch patiently, wearing one of his shirts with nothing but my panties under it. I was in the middle of watching my second movies when Luke barged into the room. He walked up to me when he spotted me sitting on one of the couches. He placed a kiss on my forehead before sitting and wrapping his hands around me. How did your meeting go? I questioned him. Can we not talk about work? I'm so tired and just want to be with you. I leaned into him and gave him a kiss on the lips. Luke pulled me into his lap as he deepened the kiss. His hands crept under my shirt and grabbed one of my boobs. He kissed down to my neck and sucked on it while teasing my nipples with his thumb. Luke, I gasped as he rips my shirt into two. He smirked at me before taking my now exposed boobs into his mouth. He alternated between biting, sucking, and licking both. I moved my hips against his and felt his hard-on. Luke, I called out his name as I continued grinding against him. He gripped my hips tightly before lifting his head and resting it back on the couch. He pulled me closer into him when I began sucking on his neck. I raised my head from his neck when I heard him moan my name. He returned his head to my chest, placing a kiss on both. My hands moved to his hair, pulling. Luke, yeah, he mumbled with his head still buried in my chest. I want you to mark me. Are you sure? His pulled away to look me in the eyes. 100% sure. Luke kissed me before getting up and walking towards the already opened bedroom door. Did you lock the main door? I asked as he dropped it on the bed. Of course. Luke leaned down and continued our kiss. Fuck, he groaned when I moved my hips against his. He lifted his body from mine, giving me enough time to undo his belt. When I finished with belt, he took off his pants and I was left staring at the half-naked man in front of me. I'm a little nervous, I whispered as he took off my panties. Me too, he chuckled. I'll be gentle. I promise, he whispered, tucking my hair behind my ear. I know it's going to hurt since I've never done this, but I don't know how bad it will be. I really don't mind the pain. I want this. I want all of him. He gave me a quick kiss on the lips before leaning down to attack my neck. I couldn't hold back the soft moan that escaped my lips when he lightly bit down on that one particular spot. He began moving his hips against mine, and even with the briefs he was wearing, the sensation that went through me was like no other. Are you sure you want this? He asked. Yes, he pulled off his briefs and I averted my eyes. I felt my body tense when he moved his hands above my pussy lips. I opened my mouth in a silent gasp as he slid one finger into me. He leaned to kiss me while his fingers continued their ministration. He added another finger and my pussy stretched further to accommodate the extra finger. I felt the pressure build as he continued to finger fuck me. Just as I was about burst, he pulled his fingers out and put them into his mouth. The way he sucked on his fingers made me wish that mouth of his was in my pussy. I looked down at his enormous dick as he started stroking himself. Looking back up, I see him smiling at me. He brought his dick closer to my pussy and rubbed against it, getting my pussy juices all over his dick. I love you, Luke said softly, pecking my lips gently. I love you too, I replied. He rested his head on my neck before he gently moved his hips forward. A stinging pain brought tears into my eyes and my fingers gripped his shoulders harshly. I tried my best not to let the tears fall. I'm sorry, his voice came out strained. Fuck, I'm so sorry, Amy. We both remained still while I adjusted to him. Luke continuously kissed below my eyes, trying to get rid of the small tears that have leaked out. He kissed all over my face while whispering sweet nothings to me. He stopped, then looked down at me with eyes half closed in pleasure. You look like you feel good, I whispered quietly to him. He opened his eyes all the way and lowered his head to mine. You do feel good, Amy. He buried his face in my neck. A small moan escaped his lips when I moved my hips a bit. You can move now, but slowly I looked down trying to see where both our bodies met, but when Luke didn't move I raised my eyes back up to meet his eyes. His eyes were full of what I could only describe as a mix of adoration and love as well lust. I raised my hand up to cup his cheek and Luke decided that was the perfect time to move. I suck in a deep breath at the pleasure mixed with pain I felt from just one movement. At first Luke moved slowly, but along the way he increased his speed. I wrapped my legs around his waist at one point, moving my body with his as he thrusted into me continuously. With every thrust, every part of me got tense in the best way and let go, building and building. My nails dug into Luke's back, making indents in his skin. Luke leaned down towards my neck again, and I knew his intention this time was different from when he laid kisses on my neck. I felt his canine scrape my neck and I moved my head to give him access. He was slightly hesitant, pulling back much to my displeasure. "Do it," I pleaded, pushing his head down. I moaned at his particularly hard thrust after I spoke. Luckily, my words were enough because right after I felt the sting of his canines puncturing my flesh. The pain only lasted a second, the entire sensation of it being overtaken by bliss. I felt a different kind of warmth spreading through my body, all starting from where he bit me. Something pulled me towards him, so I buried my now extended canines into his flesh as well. I felt an imaginary twine wrapping around us and weaving our souls together as we found our release together. Luke and I were bonded forever. Luke, 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 I love you so much. Chapter 27. 3 years later. Caleb, congratulations, Luke. Told you already. Caleb's face was full of happiness. Well, that's what finding your mate does to you unless you get rejected off course. Yes. He mind-linked me immediately after you told him. Such a gossip. He rolled his eyes, which causes me to let out a giggle. So when can I meet her? I asked. She's asleep right now. I was planning on bringing her to the hospital for a check first, but she wanted to sleep first. To the hospital? Is something wrong? I asked worriedly. Did Luke tell you she was rogue? To this question I nodded in reply. I am over 30 years and I have searched for years. Even when people told me to give up and pair with someone else, I refused. He shook his head in sadness. I let the possibility of the fact that my mate could be a rogue slip out of my mind. While traveling to different packs, I should have ventured into no man's territory as well. Amelia, she doesn't really look fine. Caleb said me with a low voice, his face full of pain. She looks malnourished. From our conversations I know she has been struggling for years. She had no one, so survival was not easy for her. I'm lucky she fought so hard to survive. Caleb's words made me remember what it was like back in no man's land. Not everyone could be like me. Lucky enough to meet other rogues who were willing to take you in. I do wonder how she became a rogue in the first place. How did she survive for so many years? Strength, courage. But that's a question for another day. You should take her to the hospital immediately after the wakes up. The earlier the checkup the better. I placed my hand on his shoulder as a form of comfort. Thanks. I'll do just that. Well, I'll see you soon. Going to meet Luke? Yup. Well then, sorry for taking your time. You can go get your lovely kisses now. Caleb chuckled, leaving me with my red face. Oh hi guys, by now you should know you've come to the end of my story. It's been 3 years since Luke and I made it and life has been perfect. We got married the very next week because Luke wasn't satisfied with just our sense mixing alone. He wanted everyone to know we were together, so he had to invite his fellow alphas and their families. Ryan wasn't invited, of course. Only his mum and dad. His dad congratulated us and celebrated with us, but I think his mother still hates me because she kept glaring at me for the whole time they were here. Not like I cared. Even after 3 years there has been no news about Rachel. Adam and Luke had arranged for people to try find her over and over and over again, but the people always come back empty-handed. No one knows if she's dead or alive. Her mother did confess to helping her escape and was punished, but she had no further news about where Rachel could have gone. I didn't really care if she came back or not. I only feel pity for Adam. He lost his sister because of her own stupidity, and his relationship with his parents is still tense, especially with his mum. Even when his mate gave birth to another pup, his mum never visited to see the baby. It's very clear where Rachel got her stupidity from. Yes, before I forget, Elena moved back to be with her son. Carl tried to explain and apologize to me, but the moment I smelt him coming I walked away. He ended up just talking to like as I had no interest in being around him. Last night, Caleb had found his mate and Luke told me about it. I wanted to go over immediately but Luke wouldn't let me. All because of the big baby who was still in me. Now here I was wobbling up the stairs with my big belly. I was bored at home so I decided to pay a surprise visit. Luke was going to be mad but that doesn't matter. A few tears and he'll be the one apologizing. I know. My due date is a week away but that doesn't mean anything. Ouch. That hurt. What? What just happened? Oh shit. I think my water just broke. Okay, I have to go now so bye. Wish me luck. Luke. Don't let the story end. Subscribe to continue our Wolfpack legend.